Okay, so looking at the Displot function in Seaborn. Now this is a figure level plot. And what the figure level plot means is that we can, and there's a few of these, we can now use the row argument to change each row as a different category. We can use the column argument as well at the same time to say each column is a different category. And go even one step further and then say, okay, now we also want to change the hue argument. We want to change the color of two distributions inside each one of these and then really inspecting by the subcategories. And this allows really the highest level of detail in terms of or granularity of when you're inspecting your distributions. Do you always need to have this detail? No, not normally, but you can absolutely find a lot of value, and this would be really interesting to understand if you have a category. If you see these distributions and at this level, they'll look very much the same. You get a sense that this category really probably isn't important. But if you're seeing distinctly different categories or distribution shapes of distributions, or even slightly different shapes of distributions that are caused by this category, you have a sense that this category is important, right? And you probably want to use another plot to inspect it in a little bit more detail, but this allows you to do so many things and inspect so much detail very quickly, and really to compare those distributions, right? Which ones, which continuous variable is most affected by the category, and which sub category is this important, and when can I really get that level of detail and that understanding, and even understand how my categories start to play in together or into each other as well. Okay, so really looking for the difference in our categories in terms of distributions, or how our distributions are affected by our categories, a better way to say that. So we also have this cat plot. So this is also another figure level plot in Seaborn. This lets us do a lot of the same thing in that we can separate the rows by a category, the columns by another category, and then change the color by again another category. This essentially does you could accomplish lots of the same plots in either one of the Displot or the cat plot. What this really specifically does is this has a little bit more of is tailored towards inspecting the category. So we'll see this in the workbook. There are just some features in here that allow us to inspect our categories on a higher level, really, whereas the Displot is focused on inspecting the distributions. Catplot is focused on inspecting the categories, and then they have a little bit of detail for each one of those to allow them. But again, many of the plots can be done in either or. Okay, so really getting used to playing around with them, getting used to the specific differences, and so you can get a better sense of when to use those. And this again allows you to understand the sub categories and how those would play into continuous variables, or how they would play into something like your count plots as well.